for reasons that were never very clear. My grandmother had a problem with my good aunt. It came out of nowhere. Like, they were always fine. And then one time she was really rude to my good aunt. And out of nowhere, she called her a meth head and said some tacky ass shit. And it was like, whoa. Like, my grandmother, it's like when my grandmother found out people were doing drugs, she was giddy because she was finally correct in assuming people are doing drugs. I think she had private investigators sometimes. I really think that. But she had no reason to know shit about my good aunt's private life. And she was really, really nasty in the way that she was just really ugly to her. And then I chewed her fucking ass for the way she talked to my good aunt. And she denied it. Totally denied it. Right? But then she's a control freak. Then she decided to forbid my good aunt. This is after my good aunt had been over with my mom. Like, they'd had a visit. My good aunt makes these really pretty crosses with all of these like collage crosses with anyway, my grandmother had bought a couple from her. I mean, it was just a just fine visit, and then all of a sudden she's being really tacky to her, and she called her a meth head. Came out of nowhere. And then she denied it to me when I chewed her ass. And then suddenly, even though she denies being rude to my aunt and calling her that, my aunt is forbidden from any of her properties. More than likely, this was a jealousy thing because my mom spent all of her time with my good aunt. And I had been driving out to where my mom and my good aunt were living, and I had been helping them a lot. My grandmother really... My grandmother didn't want me to get along with my mom. She didn't want my mom to get along with, you know, she wanted people to idolize her, and if people were close, it bothered her. It really bothered her. She was always telling me bad things. Just, I don't like to say them. She would say things about my mom and the rest of my family, and she would just tell me they were losers and they weren't worth it and blah, blah, blah. And drugs is something that, drugs were not a thing back when she was just so convinced they were. And it can be questioned. Maybe people turn to drugs when you go out of your way to make their life hell, man. You know? Whatever. But one of the times that my mom was supposed to watch my grandmother all weekend, my mom, after the first day, was like, I get a fucking message from my aunt, like, where are you? Your mother's, she's not able to watch her tonight. I'm like, well, it's mom's night. And I had to go over there, and it pissed me off because it's like, man, it's obvious why it pissed me off. I was doing all the shifts. My mom was doing some of the shifts, but not doing her fair share. But Jennifer wasn't doing any. But it was like, I really was looking forward to having 2 nights in a row. One night my aunt called me though, and she was like, do you have a boyfriend? No. She's like, oh, well, I just wondered because, you needed the whole weekend. And so, fucking people. They were very controlling with how the losers spend their time. Why aren't the losers running when they're beckoned, So I'm irritated because, I was supposed to have a weekend. This other time thank you for letting me know that shipped. Okay. I was supposed to have an entire weekend. I didn't. I show up to my grandmother's and I'm annoyed. My mom's like, well, I got stuff to do. Okay, whatever. My mom, whatever. I'm in the kitchen and I hear something in the garage. I open the door and my mom is rifling around in the corner of the garage. What are you doing? And she immediately, nothing. And she's super defensive and super aggressive, and she's like yelling immediately. And I'm oddly territorial because I've been living there. I wasn't about to go like rat her out or anything, but what the fuck was she doing rifling around the garage, you know? And my good aunt was in her truck. She had been borrowing my mom's truck and she came to pick her up. And I just felt like my mom ushered my good aunt away really quick. My mom said I was getting cat food. I was giving her cat food. Oh, well, that's not true because there's no cat food in the corner, and I've got cases of the shit for her, and you know it, right above my head in my room. So what are you really doing? And she's just fucking furious. So furious. Yelling at me. So I slam the door. She has my good aunt drive off. And she's closing the garage door. Suddenly she's staying. Okay, suspicious as hell, you know, like, what the fuck did these guys just fucking steal is what I'm thinking, quite honestly. Again, I was not about to go rat anybody out, but I was going to try to handle it myself, if you will. My mom is being really aggressive and shitty, so I slam the door and I lock it. I kind of panicked. And then I was kind of standing there like, well, what do I do now? You know, I locked her in the garage, and I hear my grandmother's phone ring, so my mom called her and told her that she was locked in the garage. So I'm just like, fuck. I opened the door, and my mom does not remember this the same way I remember this. My mom was getting in my face and saying fucked up things. So I said she was a stupid bitch. And she said, I'm your mother. How dare you talk to me like that? And I said, I mean, you haven't acted like my mom in so long. I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. And the whole time I just kept thinking, I couldn't raise my hands. I didn't even want to itch my nose or scratch my nose that itched, because I was so scared that my knee-jerk reaction, like instinct, would be to fucking clock my mother because she was getting in my fucking face. Like, her nose was almost touching my nose. She was spitting on me as she like said stuff, like it was that, and she was telling me to move, and I wasn't in her way, and she was bullying me, and I said, absolutely not. Go around me. I'm not in your way. You're not gonna bully me. It was intense. She said something and I'm like, I dare you. I fucking dare you, Mom. It was like that, you know? She goes upstairs and she tells my grandmother, she walks in there and she goes, Mommy? I run upstairs. My mom's fucking ratting my ass out. I did not interject with, well, she was poking around your garage and I'm pretty sure they fucking stole something. Never said a word about that. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I was just gonna make her a plate of butter. And I was like, she's already eaten. And my grandmother's like, well, actually, I could go for, you know, this is like what my grandmother loved. Like, she's like, are they about to fight over me, you know? And I'm just like, because we're trying to like watch her fucking blood sugar at the time, you know? And I'm like, and my mom's like, I'm gonna be, you can leave. I'm gonna stay here tonight. And I was like, oh, now you're staying. Okay, sure, okay. And my grandmother's like, well, I'll take that brownie or whatever the fuck my mom was gonna give her. I leave, right? But I'm shaking and I'm all fucked up because my mom just got in my face like she was trying to fight me, you know? And there's no going back from that. And there's no going back from me saying she's a stupid bitch either. It fucked me up. It really fucked me up. It fucked me up for a long time. And then one day my Aunt Jan caught me outside crying after that, right?